Welcome to this explainer. So have you ever caught yourself wondering why working those totally grueling hours year in and year out hardly ever translates into actual wealth for most people? I mean, it's this fascinating, kind of tragic mystery about human behavior and money. Today, we're diving into the wealth gap. We are going to unpack the uncomfortable truth about why 90% of people literally never become truly rich, even when they're doing exactly what society tells them to do. Okay, picture this. Imagine two friends. Let's call them Rahul and David. They both start their careers at age 25, making the exact same salary. They wake up, go to work, pay their bills, and, share the exact same dreams. But fast forward 10 years and they are living in completely different financial universes. Rahul, he's trapped. He's living paycheck to paycheck, weighed down by growing debt where just one unexpected expense feels like an absolute disaster. But David, on the other hand, has built this robust investment portfolio. He gets to experience that quiet peace of mind that only comes from steadily growing wealth, money that's actually out there working for him while he sleeps. Now, the craziest part about all this, neither of them inherited millions. Neither of them won the lottery, and no, neither of them stumbled into founding some billion-dollar tech startup. So, what happened? We have to figure out why their paths diverged so drastically from the exact same starting line. And look, the answer isn't that David is just naturally smarter or that he grinds twice as hard as Rahul. The reality is actually way more subtle. It all boils down to hidden habits, psychological traps, and those everyday micro decisions that just compound over time. So let's move into our first major concept, the psychology of money. Because building wealth isn't just a numbers game, it's a deep psychological battle. Have you ever heard of the hedonic treadmill? It brilliantly explains why someone keeps buying the newest smartphones, designer clothes, and all those luxury goods just to feel successful. Sure, for a few fleeting days, they're thrilled. But here's the catch. Our human brains are literally hardwired by evolution to adapt super quickly to new stuff. So almost immediately, the excitement fades, the dopamine drops, and their happiness just resets right back to its normal baseline. They're stuck on this treadmill, forced to constantly chase that next big purchase just to feel okay, totally oblivious to the fact that this cycle is exactly what's keeping them financially trapped.
Let's look at how this actually plays out in real life when incomes go up. Take Daniel and Emily. When they both score a massive raise at work, Daniel immediately goes out and upgrades his apartment, buys a brand new car on credit, and effectively doubles his living expenses. Boom, lifestyle inflation. So despite making way more money, his stress levels skyrocket because his monthly obligations are huge now. Emily, though, she takes a totally different route. She keeps her lifestyle pretty much exactly the same and instead plans all that extra income as a seed for her future. While Daniel literally consumed his raise, Emily used hers to build this invisible but rapidly growing financial security.
And this brings us to a massively important point. You've got to ask yourself this exact question every single time your income goes up. Will I increase my investments or only increase my expenses? How you answer this one simple question basically dictates the trajectory of your entire financial future. Do you want today to be a little more flashy, or do you want tomorrow to be completely free? All right, moving right along to Section 2, assets versus liabilities. Let's look at the exact mechanism that separates the wealthy from everyone else. Imagine Ryan and James both get a massive bonus at work. Ryan immediately goes out and buys a liability, a 500,000 rupee luxury car. And man, it instantly starts draining his wallet with fuel costs, insurance, and rapid depreciation. I mean, it literally loses value the second the tires hit the pavement. James, meanwhile, buys an asset. He takes that exact same $500,000 and invests it. And here is the ultimate wealth hack, you guys. Years down the line, James's assets are going to generate enough passive income to buy that exact same luxury car for him, but without putting a single dent in his underlying finances. So what exactly counts as an asset? We're talking about things like a business, rental properties, dividend-paying stocks, long-term investments, digital products, or even intellectual property. Think of each of these assets like a player on a football team. The wealthy are out there building an entire roster of players whose only job is scoring financial goals for them. A business and dividend stocks, that's your offense, generating aggressive new income. Rental properties and long-term investments, they play defense, offering steady security and predictable cash flow. That way, if one player, like say your day job, gets injured, the rest of the team keeps winning and your financial life doesn't just fall apart. So before you pull the trigger on any major purchase, just hit pause and ask yourself, will this purchase make me richer 5 years from now? It is a remarkably simple question, but it completely shifts your mindset. Because money spent on a liability, that buys temporary, fleeting pleasure. But money put into an asset, that buys long-term freedom. It really is that straightforward. You are literally trading today's spare cash for tomorrow's autonomy. Okay, let's explore what happens when you give those assets the most valuable resource in the entire world. Section 3, the magic of compounding. Just look at how this plays out over time. Ethan starts at age 25 quietly investing just 10,000 rupees a month, while Noah decides to wait on the sidelines. Now, by the time Noah finally wakes up and starts investing at age 30, he has to put in 20,000 rupees a month just to play catch up. And the crazy thing is, even though Noah doubled his monthly contribution, Ethan's early start made him mathematically unbeatable. Noah was busy waiting for the perfect time, while Ethan's money had 5 extra years to just sit back and do all the heavy lifting for him. You see, compound growth is exactly like a snowball rolling down a hill, tiny at first, but eventually completely unstoppable. At the very beginning, the growth feels almost invisible, but before you know it, those gains start generating their own gains, heavily rewarding the folks who focus on steady progress instead of chasing quick profits. It's this quiet, powerful force of nature that absolutely favors patience over speed. But sadly, this is exactly where most people drop the ball. They quit during that invisible phase because they just don't have the patience to let the momentum build. Which leads us perfectly into our next topic.
Section 4, habits and mistakes. Wealth isn't maintained by luck. It's maintained by daily routines.
So what do the wealthy actually do every day? Well, none of these habits require genius-level intellect or a massive trust fund. They just require the discipline to repeat tiny positive decisions day in and out. For example, they live below their means, which creates the actual cash gap needed to build wealth. They never stop learning, which actively protects them from making dumb investments. And honestly, this is crucial. They pay themselves first. They invest their money before paying the bills or going shopping, absolutely guaranteeing that their wealth grows every single month, no matter what.
On the flip side of that coin, millions of people stay broke not because of some huge dramatic disaster, but because they repeatedly make these seemingly small mistakes that act like weeds choking out their financial garden. They wait for the perfect time to start, which means they lose their biggest advantage, time. They dangerously depend on just one single income stream, leaving them literally one unexpected layoff away from total ruin. And they let the fear of a slow start get to them, quitting entirely before compounding can ever even work its magic.
So how do we actually fix this? Let's move to Section 5, your wealth building roadmap, a practical, step-by-step playbook if you're starting from absolute zero today. By following this exact sequence, you take total, unshakable control of your financial future. Look at the steps. You definitely don't jump to step 6 without nailing step 1 first. Your skills dictate your income, and then your budget dictates your investments. And notice the brilliant logic here. Building an emergency fund at step 3 has to happen before you start investing at step 4. You absolutely must protect your progress and build a safety net first. That way, you ensure you never have to panic sell your investments during a crisis just to survive. And hey, take a breath, because you don't need to become a millionaire overnight. You literally only need to improve your financial knowledge and discipline by just 1% every day. The math on this is mind-blowing. Getting just 1% better every day means you are 37 times better by the end of a single year. Zoom out over a decade, that tiny, mundane daily commitment compounds into a totally transformed reality. All right, let's bring it all home with Section 6, the final reality check. I want to leave you with a really powerful mental exercise to lock in everything we've talked about today. Imagine you are 80 years old, sitting in a rocking chair, looking back on your life. What's going to matter more to you? The temporary thrill of an expensive gadget or a shiny new car, or the lasting, undeniable weight of true financial freedom? At the end of the day, people rarely, if ever, regret investing too early, but they almost always regret waiting too long to start. The applause you got for driving that luxury car will fade, but the peace of mind from rock-solid financial security, that lasts your entire life. Ultimately, the true difference between those who constantly struggle and those who absolutely thrive isn't the size of their paycheck, it's their mindset. Because money is really just an amplifier of your existing habits. If your habits are chaotic and poor, throwing more money at the problem will just lead to more debt and more stress. But if your foundation is built on discipline, knowledge, and solid habits, money becomes the ultimate tool to design the exact life you've always wanted. They say the best time to start was years ago, but the second best time is today. So, will you be part of the 90% or the 10% who choose a different path? Which path are you choosing right now?